On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks have to upgrade their center spot this offseason or it's a complete failure. We'll tell you why and how they do it on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
10 Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen each and every day. We are free and available on all podcast platforms, including YouTube, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section, which center do you want the Mavericks to go after? You can kind of name any center in the NBA if you want, or a draft prospect, whoever you want to name. Just name a center. We're going to talk about those today. If you want to support the show, text us, get text alerts from us. My favorite response so far has been the text that I got today, which was, let's see if I don't know if I can find it, but so they got the welcome text and they said, and then I responded back and they said, "Holy S, I'm actually texting with you." Yeah, that's what this is. You're going to text with us. Like, we'll respond. We'll send responses back, and I respond every weekday. So appreciate you guys. We'll be sending more rumors and stuff. So subscribe to our subtext. Click the link in the description below. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer and contributor at Mavs.com. The center, sir, the one more thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
You're not going to text back on the weekends?
I haven't so far. I probably will at some point, but I don't want people to get people's hopes up, guys. I did not last weekend. I did all of them on Sunday, though.
How long before we get a drunk text?
How long until we realize maybe we've gotten one?
That's true.
Maybe I've sent one to the thing and you didn't check
it. How long before you send a drunk text?
That one may be a while. Not gonna lie.
I'm like, do you know what you're texting right now?
But today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. The Game Time app. Isaac, today we're going to talk about centers. We're getting big. Talking about bigs. We're talking about centers. Centers. Like
centers.
Centers.
I didn't know if you wanted to have another altar call. But.
Sinners and saints. Centers and in the paints. We're talking about them today. And let's start here. The Mavericks have to upgrade their center spot. We've said this for multiple years now. We've talked about this for a while. The Mavericks had tried in the past. They tried this past offseason, and we got to the same spot. Nico Harrison, in exit interviews after they went to the Western Conference Finals, and also after they missed the playoffs this year, said the same thing. We have to improve in protecting the rim and at rebounds. They have to. Like, they have to get better at that. We both agree that that's what they have to do. They just to get better as a team overall in the regular season. And then in a certain way in the playoffs, we'll get to that a little bit later. They have to upgrade. And I think, I'm saying this, and I've said this multiple times in the show, I'm going to say it again. If Dwight Powell is the center, if there's not a guaranteed starting center that is not Dwight Powell or JaVale or whoever else on this team, it will be a failure from the front office. Like a complete and utter failure.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, they definitely got to get a defined starting center in here. You look at their center rotation right now, or just to end the season. Dwight Powell, he's an unrestricted free agent. Could be back on a cheaper deal. They love him. Dwight loves Dallas. Like the whole thing. Like he's
still a good
way
backup.
Up the game. Yes, as a super cheap backup big for somebody who does a couple things really well. One, he's a good pro. The two, he hustles his butt off. And three, he can run a great pick and roll with Luka Doncic to come off the bench in spurts, do his thing, sure, at a cheap price. Christian Wood, unrestricted free agent. See you later.
He's not coming
JaVale
back.
McGee. No, JaVale McGee, that was their attempt at it last year. Didn't work. No. There you go. So he's still under contract for a couple more seasons. They're probably going to shop him this summer. Outside of that, you have Maxi Kleba, who's still under contract for a few more years also. But, I mean, we know this. We've said this for the past 2 years. We saw it this year, have a hamstring tear. You just can't go out and run him at the center spot every single night for 30 minutes a night. You just can't do that with him. You got to kind of save him, play in different spots and all that. So it is setting up for a summer of, if now's the time to go out there and go get your guy, make a bigger investment into a guy, bigger than you've kind of just tried to skirt around it a little bit and just try to those like dinners to where you don't really have a plan for dinner. And you're like, man, can we just throw crap together? Like, and you're having like weird combinations of like a peanut butter sandwich with like mac and cheese, like warmed up in the microwave. And you're like, that's the type of like center rotation Dallas has had. Now you got to legit go out and have a dinner plan.
You got to put a meal together.
Yeah. You gotta go to a restaurant and get yourself a center this offseason. They could do it a handful of different ways.
I've had those meals where it's mac and cheese, it's like a peach, it's it's like a bag of chips, or it's like something random that you just like whatever you can find. And I'm with you. In the past, we've talked about the Mavericks having a bullpen approach at center. And like you mentioned before, they've tried that, and they've tried having multiple guys. They've gotten to the point where in the NBA now, I don't think you can have that anymore. I think the NBA has changed to where I don't think you can get away with that anymore.
If you do, you just got to have good bullpen players.
To get away with it, I've been looking at some of the centers in the playoffs, and I've been looking at what the centers in the playoffs do. So this is what the Mavericks need in a center. If you're just looking at the playoffs, the 16 teams that are in the playoffs right now, I didn't even look at the play-in because one of us doesn't count those as postseason.
No, we don't.
So just those. You have, I'm not going to name them all, but basically all of them.
I'm not
going to do it. All of them except for Jokic and Sabonis protect the rim at a pretty high level. Sabonis and Jokic, they do their own thing defending the rim and all that, and they're big and all that. Sabonis can switch a little bit better. They both can rebound really well. They both do that for sure. But all the other centers, besides those two guys who are like elite offensive, one of them's an outlier MVP, the other one is like an elite the ball moves through him, their offense moves through him guy and Sabonis. You have to have that or a rim protector. That's that. All the other centers are rim protectors. So unless you have like an outlier center like that, then you have to have a rim protector. You can argue with me about like Zubac is kind of one where you're like, I don't know. Nick Claxton kind of got played off the floor, but he got played off the floor by Embiid. But everybody else, I don't think it's a question that they defend the rim.
Yeah, and that's where we have to start with the names because, Dallas isn't getting a Jokic or a Joel Embiid, one of those top centers in the league like that. So you have to go the step below and ask yourself, all right, which one of those centers out there could Dallas go after?
The other thing that they do, I mentioned the other thing that I went through, and all the centers in the playoffs rebound really well, like a high level. I could get double-digit rebounds per game, except for Al Horford and Robert Williams. You can tandem them, but Al Horford and Brook Lopez. Those are the only two that don't like rebound at an elite level, but they affect rebounding with their size. They have huge wings around them, and like Tatum, Brown. Smart is a good rebounder for his size. Giannis with the Bucks, and Horford and Brook Lopez both shoot the ball at an elite level, and they already defend the rim, right? So if you're looking at what things a center in the playoffs needs, have to defend the rim unless you're an outlier offensive player, and you have to be able to rebound. Switching is another factor that I looked into. Can you switch on defense? Can you step out? It's about half and half, and some of them are a stretch. Like I said, Ayton could switch. I said Gobert could switch a little bit. Like that's a little bit of a stretch to say that they can. But you at least have to be able to move your feet. There's not a ton of plotting centers in the NBA anymore. You're looking at like Jokic, Zubac. You're looking at, I guess, Gobert a little bit. You're looking at maybe Mitchell Robinson. I didn't have him as like a switching center. Embiid, but even Embiid can like move his feet and step out there. And then Brook Lopez can switch in his own way. So I don't think that's a requirement anymore. I don't think I'm looking at a center and saying, okay, they have to be able to do that. But it'd be really nice because all those guys don't get played off the floor if you could do all three of those things.
Yeah, how about we take a break and then we'll come back and I have a couple of stat qualifiers that narrowed it down for a handful of guys that I want to throw at you. And
we'll get in some names coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Game Time. This summer, there's concerts. My TikTok feed is full of the Taylor Swift Eras Tour. Like I just can't get away from it because you watch something and you're like, dang, wish I was there. You can check it out in the Game Time app. I'll be going to some Dallas Wings games. You can get those tickets in the Game Time app. There's all kinds of stuff throughout the summer that you're going to want to go to, events that you want to be a part of. Those are things that, you can buy things, but to have an experience, that's what you you really want to remember in your life at times. You're like, man, remember when we did that? That was great. It's always great to go out and to have an experience like that. I know I'm probably going to go to Paramore this summer. That's a concert that I have circled in my calendar. I want to go to that, so I'll check that out in the Game Time app. You can check out all these kind of things in the Game Time app. They make something easy as well. You can get images of your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what you're going to get before you arrive. You can buy tickets in a matter of seconds. 2 taps, and you're set. 2 taps.
Ooh, double tap.
Not even 2 taps in a wrap. 2 taps. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code, all one word, all caps, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. You're out of frame and out of focus. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I was just laughing at something you said, but it's good.
About Paramore?
No, I was just talking about, 2 taps and it wrapped. So
Oh, that's a Brooklyn Nine-Nine joke.
let me tell you about FanDuel. Our friends at FanDuel. Okay, let's look at some championship odds for the NBA right now. Are you a little surprised that FanDuel has the Milwaukee Bucks at a plus 240 right now, leading the way still?
Still the favorite to win the title.
Still the favorite.
That is actually surprising to me.
Giannis injury, all of that. They're dealing with that. They're actually playing Miami right now as we're recording. Boston's at 290 right after that. Phoenix and then Golden State after that. No, man, the Sacramento Kings. And then it's the Sixers, Nuggets, Lakers, Jalen Brunson's Knicks. So I don't know who the best. I mean, I'm staring right at that Denver Nuggets plus 1,000 right there.
To win the title, plus 1,000.
I know, but it's like the 6th best odds on it.
No, I know. I'm saying those are good odds. That if you're feeling good about those Nuggets,
that's the one they would go for. And right now, new customers can step up to the plate with no sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn to sign up, place your first bet, get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win. So don't miss your chance to get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. FanDuel.com/LockedOn to sign up.
All right, Isaac Harris. Thanks everybody for listening to the pod, being part of the Raccoon Squad, and every dayer. If you listen every day, we appreciate you guys. Subscribe to our subtext in the link below. And tomorrow we're gonna do our What If Wednesday. What if the Mavericks get the number 2 pick in the draft? What if they jump up in the lottery and get number 2? We'll do that on tomorrow's show. We appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. All right, Isaac, let's get into this. Give me some numbers that centers either have to have or some numbers you looked up for some centers.
Okay, first off, this isn't the end-all tell-all, but we know what Dallas likes to do with their centers. We know that they love to run pick and roll. Like when you look up pick and roll numbers, especially on Synergy, you look up points per possession as the roll man. The top 2 names on the list is Dwight Powell and Christian Wood. All right, that shows you how much Dallas loves to run that play. It also shows you how good that Luka Doncic is in the pick and roll. So what I tried to cross, I did it both on StatHead and using Synergy, looking at players who are averaging at least 9 rebounds a game or finish year averaging at least 9 rebounds a game, at least 1 block a game. And we're in the top 15 of points per possession as the roll man. There are 4 players, 4 bigs who did that. One of them is Anthony Davis.
Okay.
I think we can probably cross him off the list unless we've talked about the Kyrie for Anthony Davis. If the Lakers do, which I don't think they're going to lose to Memphis, but if they did get beat by Memphis, they're probably going to look at a lot of things what they could do different this summer. The other 3 names on this list: Zubac, Nick Claxton, and Clint Capella.
Yeah.
All 3 of those very intriguing names for me. Because after the Anthony Davises of the world, you have to start looking at all the other centers in the league. There's one other name that's not on this list that barely missed it. That is like my dream person. We'll talk about it probably in a little bit, but those 3 names right there: Clint Capella, Nick Claxton, and Zubac. If I'm Dallas, I'm really intrigued of going after any of those 3. Do you like either of those 3?
Yeah, give me the names one more time. It's Clint Capella,
Zubac, Capella, Nick Claxton, and
all those names.
Dude, Nick Claxton. I know you're talking about going up against Joel Embiid and all of that. Listen, we talked about the Brooklyn situation with their money. It's so weird. I don't know what direction they're going in. They don't have a star, like all this different stuff. Nick Claxton next year is going to be on an expiring contract. Like they're going to have to pay him at some point. If they looked around the league and say, like right now, one of the questions I have for you, I'm kind of dipping into my other question, is how many bigs out there would you realistically trade the 10th overall pick for?
Yeah.
If Brooklyn said, hey, we're not going to be able to extend Nick Claxton, but we don't want to lose him for nothing, how about we just start over with another young player?
Yeah.
And they called up Dallas and said, hey, we'll give you Nick Claxton straight up for the 10th pick. I'm doing it right now.
I would do that too. I would take the guaranteed, because the other thing that I'm looking at with some of these playoff centers, I've just looked at playoff centers. None of them are, besides like Evan Mobley, and Mobley plays next to a center. None of them are young either. You have to have like a vet. Like Nick Claxton is the youngest one of that bunch of the starting playoff centers. Okongwu, you can put in there, but he has Clint Capella playing in front of him. He'll eventually step up there, but like none of them are super young really either. And so I guess DeAndre Ayton is there too, but yeah, none of them are young. You have to have like a veteran guy that knows what they're doing in that spot, and that's just the NBA right now.
Nick Claxton is 23 years old. He averaged 2.5 blocks per game. He's 6'11". Now he's skinny, so he's not going to be the guy that's like banging down low with the Valanciunas of the world. But man,
the Mavericks don't want that either.
I think yes. I mean, you're looking at what Dwight Powell did, but much better. He could switch on the perimeter. He is that 6'11" guy. He could play with Luka. He can switch. Like I would love to try to go get Nick Claxton. Now, the older version of him, in a way, is kind of like the Clint Capella. And, I feel like we both, probably more me than you, got a million tweets when, the Hawks beat somebody in the play-in and he had like, 58 rebounds or whatever it was. And, he's a little bit older than Claxton, probably, a decent amount older than Claxton in that case there, because he is what? He is 28. So yeah, he's 5 years older than him. And I think he's going to be gettable this summer. The Hawks got to figure out what the crap they're going to do. They have a Kongwu. I don't think they're going to trade a Kongwu. So if they entertain the market for Clint Capella, I think he would fit the Dallas angle of like, he could run the pick and roll really well. He could rebound really well, and he could defend the paint some. And I don't think it's going to cost you, an arm and a leg to go get him either.
Yeah. With the Claxton one, we talked about this yesterday. I'll briefly, if you didn't listen yesterday, the Nets do have to figure out something, because they have $146 million in salaries for next year. That doesn't include Cam Johnson. They're already $12 million over the cap without Cam Johnson. So they're $16 million away from the tax level without Cam Johnson's money on the books. So they have to make some decisions. So that we were talking about yesterday, doing a Dorian Royce O'Neal, like, could they get both somehow? Like just bring Dorian back and get Royce and like complete that wing rotation there. But the other thing is they could try to get Nick Claxton. Could you try to get Nick Claxton and Dorian and fill like two needs that you have with the first? Another thing that a subtext subscriber said to me today, or said to us today, would you entertain taking back Ben Simmons' contract, like his dead contract with Claxton, as like that's your payment? If maybe you don't have to send a first. Maybe you just like they take Davis and Tim and split that contract up, and you have to deal with the Ben Simmons thing, which maybe he ends up being a contributor, maybe he doesn't, but you get Nick Claxton out of it.
Yeah, I really don't want any part of Ben Simmons' contract. I'm sorry.
No, I don't either.
I don't even know if he's gonna play. Like I don't know. Like, yeah, and I love Nick Claxton, but I would need much more than Nick Claxton to take on $40 million dead weight. That's
a lot. It's too much. Like $40 million is too much. You can talk me into, like, Davis is 17. You can talk me into that for whatever. But $40 million, that's just dead weight at a certain point. Maybe he just comes on and is the wing, but like you can't trust anything from. There's something non-basketball with Ben Simmons. It's obviously affecting the basketball. There's something non-basketball with Ben Simmons that's affecting him right now. But you mentioned Clint Capella as maybe the other name. He's one I'm definitely looking at, because maybe they make some changes this offseason. Okongwu was right there. They already have like a replacement for him. Now, they did win their playing games because of how well they could rebound with those two guys, and Capella was a huge reason for it. So maybe they put more stock into that than not. We've seen Quinn Snyder with a big man like Rudy Gobert a lot. Maybe he values that a little bit more. But then maybe they decide, hey, we want to switch a little bit more. We want to be able to be more mobile around Trae Young. Like, we got to have somebody that can like come over and help and all that kind of stuff. Maybe that's a Okongwu, and maybe they decide that he's ready. I think he's also up for some kind of contract coming.
That's the thing, is like
too,
they
right?
have a young guy behind Capella that should be ready to take the reins.
Yeah, Okongwu will be a restricted free agent, not next season, but the next offseason. So his payday's coming up too. They owe Capella $21 million next year and $22 million the year after that. So maybe they don't want to pay two centers in this, the same year. And
Capella would fall into the group of, he would be like, he's a bigger investment and he would be your guaranteed starting center
for sure.
So, and in this economy of the salary cap stuff going up, paying $20 for a guy who does the things that Capella does, that Dallas needs, I'm okay with that.
Coming up, I have 3 names that are not playoff centers that could be on the Mavericks roster and would definitely be starting centers.
And I got to give my dream target at the end.
And we'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. If you want to bet, you can bet on rebounds. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can pick the more or less. Let's just do some rebound numbers. We've got. How is this possible? They have coming up in like 30 minutes. They have games available. Let's do Atlanta and Boston. Jason Tatum, 10 rebounds, more or less. I'm gonna go less on that one. 10 rebounds seems like a lot for him. Trae Young, 3.5 rebounds.
More.
That's a wild one to watch. Imagine you're sitting watching a game, like if Trae Young almost gets a rebound, but then Okongwu comes in and like grabs it out of nowhere and you're freaking out. What a way to watch an NBA game. That's so fun. John Collins, 5.5 rebounds. He hasn't been getting a ton of playing time, and it's just been weird what's happened with him.
This is the most we're going to talk about him on this pod.
It's true. Al Horford, 6 rebounds. Clint Capella, the guy that we've been talking about, 11 rebounds.
More.
Yeah, give me more on that. If I do more on Capella, I'll only do more on Trae Young, more than 3.5, and then less on Jason Tatum, 10 for that game. I put down $20, I can win 45. If I put down 100, I can win 225. You can add all kinds of other stuff to this. There's baseball, there's hockey, there's all kinds of other things on Prize Picks. And if you use the promo code LOCKEDON, you get 100% instant deposit match up to $100. Check it out. It's prizepicks.com. Download the app. All right, Isaac Harris, thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Tomorrow we'll do our what if the Mavericks get the number 2 pick in the draft, so make sure you come back for that one. I got a couple of names because I've been looking at the playoff ones, and it's hard to see some of the playoff ones that could move. Let's just go through this right now. Who are some of the playoff centers that could move? I think Ayton.
Say his name. His name.
I think DeAndre Ayton is one of them. We mentioned
I'd be down.
We mentioned Zubats earlier. He's a name that they could keep, could not. Looney is one that maybe the Warriors change things up, but he seems really integral to what they do. Yeah. Anthony Davis, we mentioned, only in a Kyrie sign and trade. Gobert is a name we talked about yesterday on the show. Clint Capella, we just talked about. He's a name we think could move. Bam Adebayo, don't think he's going to move. Don't think the Mavericks have enough for him. Nick Claxton, we just mentioned. Brooke Lopez, we don't think is going to move. Al Horford, Rob Williams, we don't think is going to move.
Brooke Lopez is an unrestricted free agent, by the way.
Fair, but
intriguing. Like
close to defensive player of the year for them. Mitchell Robinson, we don't think is going to move for them. Nick Claxton, we already mentioned.
You're not mentioning him on purpose. Say his name.
And then 7 foot out of Texas, it's Jarrett Allen of Cleveland.
Let's go.
Okay, pitch me on how he's going to move, because isn't that front court solid and young, and wouldn't they want to just build around that in their backcourt?
Well, isn't that front court about to get put out in the first round?
Like by Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson and Brunson.
Yeah, so like I just want to know what Cleveland's move is. They have a looming max contract for Mobley. It's going to be happening at some point. Man, they got really lucky with the new CBA stuff that's going to allow them to be able to pay these max contracts of Garland, Mobley, and Mitchell on their books at the same time. If Mitchell's there for the long term, like you're going to pay all 3 of those dudes max. And all of a sudden, then you have a Jared Allen, and to where are they going to look at this summer and say, all right, the only thing we need to do is just go out there and just try to find like a random
shooting
minimum,
wing, yeah,
vet men wing, something like that? Or do they look at it and say, hey, we want to entertain the moving to Mobley to 5. Maybe could we turn Jared Allen into 1 or 2 wings out there that can make us more versatile defensively, shooting, all of that stuff? I'm just saying, if they put Jared Allen on the market, because I'm picking him because I don't think they're going to pick the other like 3. No, I think they would pick Allen over those 3. And if they did that, he would just fit everything amazing for Dallas. He's my dream get. He's my, you offer the 10th pick, you offer, if you compare a young
Tim, you can throw Tim in there.
Yeah. If you compare a young Jared Allen, I mean, he is your next version of Tyson Chandler. Right. And we're selfishly would be super excited because he seems like just a blast to cover and just such a fun human being.
Went to Texas.
Yeah, went to Texas. Seeing him in a pick and roll with Luka would be awesome. You could defend the paint, all of that, a good price too. He's under contract at $20 million
every year. Yeah,
he's my dream, most realistic. Out of, obviously your dream is a Jokic, Embiid, something like that. But out of the tier down guys, that it wouldn't shock me if it's Cleveland's gonna possibly entertain Jared Allen deals, then I'd be going all after him if I was Dallas.
Yeah, that's a great one. That is a great dream target, and dream is the way to put it. There's no inkling, there's no rumor, there's no there's none of that he is going to get moved. But if it does happen, if Cleveland does get put out in the first round and they have to make some tough decisions, which they also are, they're not over the cap yet. Next year they have $127 million in salaries, and that doesn't include Karis LeVert's contract's completely off the books, and so they have to fill that role. And then they have to upgrade that wing spot. It's just not Okoro and Chetty Osman and LeVert. They're just not getting it done in the playoffs right now. And so maybe they have to make a tough decision. They decide Jared Allen, Evan Mobley takes another leap, and they decide, hey, we can't do the young quarterback thing where Mobley's only making $8 million next year, and we can upgrade at wing around him, and he can be a good enough center by himself. He was close to Defensive Player of the Year, so he definitely got some votes for that. So
Tim, Josh Green, and 10 for Jared Allen. I don't know.
I would do that.
Yep.
It's such a big need, and he would fill it so clearly. That's the answer. Him, Clint Capella. If we're starting to look at some of these centers, Nick Claxton, those are 3 that you look at and you're hey, if you bring in those guys in, then those are your guaranteed. I have a couple that are not in the playoffs right now.
Ooh, let's go.
That I think,
Lord, I know which one you're going to bring up.
They would come in and guaranteed. We'd be okay, these are guys that fit all the things that we talked about: rim protect, rebound a decent rate, and probably switch. And they can do all those things. Wendell Carter is one that I wrote down. He fits all those things. That's one that we haven't really talked about a lot. I don't think he's going to get moved because of where Orlando is and all that, but you never know. Maybe they decide something else. Their draft pick.
Would you trade 10th pick for him?
I think so. I'd have to look up what his contract is right now.
I think I would too. Yeah.
But I think I would do that just because we can answer this question right now. You can't just pick Derek Lively at the 10th pick and just be okay with that. You want to compete now, and I don't think you can compete now with a center. Yeah. We've seen Walker Kessler come in and be the best young center we've seen in a long time, and even they didn't make the playoffs and all that. But I don't think you can just pick Derek Lively and say, okay, that's it. He's our starting center.
That's our answer.
I don't think that'll work for a team that wants to win right now and wants to win at a high level right now.
Yeah, if they did stay, they stay in pat, they take Lively at 10, you still got to go out and get another center, and it's Lively's our backup.
Yeah. Wendell Carter's making $13 million next year, $12 million the year after that, and $11 million the year after that. It's yeah, I would do that. I'd have to think a little bit about 10 if I'm giving up 10 for him.
I think I would give up 10 for him, and I'm not buying up all the stock on Carter Island either.
The other one is Jakob Poeltl. He's going to be a free agent. He was with the Raptors. Masai Ujiri mentioned him specifically when he was talking about players. He seemed like he was non-committal about everybody else except for Jakob Poeltl, which is weird. So maybe he's just back with them and re-signed. But he would be perfect. The Mavericks should have done that trade this year. They should have traded that other future first for him. But he protects the rim, rebounds. The other one is my dream target. And
Yep.
we've talked about this for months, years, forever. Another guy out of Texas.
84 years.
Miles Turner. He protects the rim. He can switch on defense. He can shoot. He doesn't rebound all that well, but he is big and can affect rebounding. Like the Pacers don't get destroyed on the glass all the time, but he'd just be perfect. Like he would fit pick and roll, pick and pop. He's not the best pick and roll guy, but it defends the rim at such a high level, like higher than some of these other guys we've talked about. Blocks a ton of shots. He is injury prone. So that's the thing that really hurts you. And a thing that would really make you just like clench your teeth every once in a while. But he's just such a good fit. We've seen him in Texas. He has those photo shoots with like cowboy hats and boots all the time. We know he works out here in the offseason. Like Texas is part of who he is and all that. He's making $21 million next year, just about $20 million the year after that. I mean, that's the same as Jared Allen's contract, basically. He's 27, but he's right there. I mean, he just be
Miles Turner, Jared Allen.
Who costs less? I feel like Miles Turner costs less. You get him for one less
probably.
year. You get Miles Turner for one less year.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So I think I'd go well, and Jared Allen's less injury prone. So those are the things that you weigh.
Yeah. I'd be fine with it. I like them both.
Either one.
I think, yeah. Either one. I think, some people are probably saying, hey, is there any cheaper options out there? This Daniel Gaffer, this Hartenstein. It's just, I don't know. I don't think that the investment's big enough. Like if you're bringing in one of those guys, those are like rotation guys. And it's like, I think we're kind of past that. I want to be wrong, but, or I want to, yes, I could be wrong, but I feel like,
to be wrong.
Yeah. I feel like they're kind of past that to where they're saying, we want to make a bigger investment.
They tried the cheap option. They tried JaVale McGee.
Yeah.
That was honestly, JaVale McGee was the best cheap option you could have gotten because he fit all the things that they wanted, except for shooting, really, and he tried. But also look at the centers in the playoffs. Here, I'll name them. You want me to name them?
No, you already did it.
Jokic, Jaren Jackson, Sabonis, Ayton, Zubats, Looney, Anthony Davis, Gobert, Capella, Bam Adebayo, Nick Claxton, Mitchell Robinson, Jared Allen, Embiid, Horford, and Brook Lopez. Who's the worst center on that list? Is it Nick Claxton? Like, he's a good center. Is it Zubats? It's probably Zubats. Like,
I would take Zubats right now.
That's the worst one. And so you can't go with the cheaper option and expect it to be good because that's the type of center you have to have in the NBA now. It just is.
Vooch is a free agent.
Yeah.
I don't think he fits a ton. Like, there's
He
a
rebounds,
world
he shoots.
where you tell me it's like, yeah, okay, for a cheap price, he wants to play Luka. They're friends, all this stuff. He does rebound and can shoot. I will say this. You mentioned just kind of casually in passing DeAndre Ayton earlier.
Yeah.
There's a world that Phoenix gets beat by Denver in the second round. And
Bad.
if Ayton is just put on a monster of a showing and they're like, all right, we're kind of past due with the Ayton, Chris Paul, Devin Booker. And if they're trying to figure out entertain Chris Paul this summer, if Kyrie did want to go to Phoenix, I think getting Ayton back in a sign and trade wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
It wouldn't be a great thing.
He's not Rudy Gobert.
He's not. He's also has some similar issues as Gobert.
I would like to see Ayton play with Luka. I think
he's playing with Chris Paul, man. Like, how much better is Luka with a center than Chris Paul?
I mean, but it's also like retirement home Chris Paul.
Yeah, it's true.
He probably is getting senior citizen discount from State Farm.
Is it him or is it Cliff Paul?
Which is higher, employee discount or senior citizen?
AARP, maybe? Do you get more for the AARP? Let us know in the comment section who's your target center, and let us know.
I'm out on Nurkic. Don't send me Nurkic trades.
Yeah, Nurkic is done. Portland doesn't want Nurkic anymore. I went through a bunch of them and was like, okay, who are some that are available? A cheaper option.
I'm thinking about.
Valanciunas. Kelly Olynyk is one that I had down. Porzingis. Been there, done that.
And we've talked about Draymond so much. That's why I didn't.
It's not a center.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, he could play small 5, but that,
doesn't work. Nas Reed is a name that people have brought up to us a lot.
I like Nas Reed. Yeah. Don't send me John Collins.
Nas
trades.
Reed does not rebound. He doesn't defend the rim well enough. So you're like, those are two things the Mavericks need, and he doesn't do either of them.
And he's like 6'8", 6'9".
He's like 6'9". Yeah, it'd be the Dwight Powell thing kind of again. There's
Miles
just-
Turner, Jared Allen,
Clint Capella.
Clint Capella, Nick Claxton. Like, those are 4 names there. If they got those, I'm like, all right.
Pirtle.
Like, yeah, I love Pirtle. He's a free agent. There's that other group of like the Zubats group that's like, all right, hey, Zubats would be solid if Clippers just kind of hit reset on some things. He would be a solid get boards, can run the pick and roll, defend a little bit. So
Wouldn't have to guard Luka ever again.
Yes.
He would be happy about that. Let us know in the comment section, who's your favorite center target for the Mavericks. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.